Okay, you lot, so the new moco event is currently live. This is the SHOTBOW Mayhem shotbow. Yeah, basically it features a new weapon that will be available in the game. And yeah, I've managed to complete all of the difficulties. This event, trust me, it's way easier than the previous event, and honestly probably all of the events that we've had so far, right? Normal mode, honestly, that's like a tutorial. Right, you can just no-brain it and still get 4 minutes quite easily. Hard mode, I would say it's relatively easy, right, if you know what you are doing, but it will also depend on the randoms, right? If you are able to do this with pre-mates, right, and you can bring pre-made parties into this, it will definitely help a lot, especially if you know the best ways to beat it. But yeah, essentially in this one I will explain how the event works and provide you with 6 tips on how to speed up your runs, right? Because I know that especially when you start out, it may not be obvious to do this or not. So yeah, hopefully it will help you out and get those 4-minute runs. But yeah, trust me, if you want to get a good run, try to get a pre-made going, try to strategize before the run, because with randoms it's gonna be a little bit difficult, right? You will do normal with randoms, but hard mode may require a bit of strategizing because you have to optimize your DPS a bit more than just randomly hitting everything that you see, right? Okay, so let's go with the tips and tricks, and I'll show you the run in the progress as well. Okay, so these tips are in no particular order, but starting with number 1, right? This one will probably be the hardest to do with all of the random lobbies, right? And that is, try to focus on a lot of enemies in narrow spaces, right? So what I mean by this is, each tunnel in here, you will see that they have a little bit of a corridor, right? And I'm particularly talking about this one, right? This corridor is really narrow, which allows you to hit multiple enemies without shoving your hits in all different directions. Because here's the deal. If you go outside of this corridor or you go inside of the little box right here, right? You'll notice that there will be situations where I'm gonna be stopping along the way just to explain how it works, right? For example, in narrow spaces right here, if you're standing on the outside, you are able to hit a lot of enemies with your shots because you only have a few directions to shoot in, and it will always focus majority of the hits on the enemies. In situations like this, right, where you can see the enemies are a bit scattered, if you find yourself somewhere in the middle right here, right, I hope my cursor is showing. Yeah, it should show in the video, but essentially if you end up somewhere right here, instead of hitting multiple enemies, you would be hitting the top spitter, you would be hitting the bottom spitters, then you would be hitting the left spitter, and this will just build up the time quite a bit, and you really want to optimize your DPS in order to get these 4-minute runs. So if you are able to, try to organize and hit all of the enemies through these little corridors. This of course excludes bosses. I'm mostly talking about hordes of enemies like this, right? And yeah, if you manage to get them all in the corridor, it will be perfect. And I just realized one of the other tips I've written down is always shoot multiple enemies, so I'm gonna sort of like combine them together because really they're the same thing. And with the second one being to always bring out the bosses out into the middle, right? The thing is, when the bosses start, especially starting with wave 4, they will come in a few different corridors. I think maybe wave 5 is not like that, but essentially what happens is, if you just go into a corridor, right, let's say bosses come out from 2 or 3 different corridors, they will waste a lot of time if you don't bring them out and shoot multiple of them at once, right? Like, yes, you can stand close to a boss and shoot a lot of damage at them, but if you don't bring them out, trust me, if all 3 of you shoot separate bosses and don't chain your hits, you are not getting 4 minutes. I can confidently say this, you are simply not getting 4 minutes in that scenario, right? And it's a perfect way to showcase another tip I have, and that is to always focus your hits on the boss and ricochet the shots to other enemies from them. What I mean by this is, in a situation like this, right, we have the boss right here and we have a few enemies just below it. Instead of going to those enemies to shoot them, you should stand in a way where you are essentially looking at the enemies and the boss is right in the middle of you. So for example, in this case, you want to stand on top of the boss. That way, the melee enemies that aren't the boss will come closer and you will be able to shoot the boss and ricochet the hits from them. In case of ranged enemies, right, you will still be able to reach them eventually, because you do have a charge attack which has pretty much like double the range of your regular attack. This way, because bosses will require majority of the time to hit, you do want to be killing them first, and whatever catches strays, you want to use that time in order to hit the boss, right? And now two last tips that are probably the most important, and that is, first one, you have to memorize or at least write down the wave pattern, right? Because if you just walk around and look at the map and waiting for the enemies to appear there, you will be losing quite a bit of time. Like if you just look at the map, you're probably gonna be losing like good 10-15 seconds each run just by trying to understand where the enemies are. So yeah, make sure to learn the wave pattern. For those who are not familiar, the pattern is wave 1 comes from the left, wave 2 comes from the right, wave 3 comes from the bottom, wave 4 comes from both left and right, wave 5 comes from the bottom, wave 6 comes from all directions, and wave 7 comes from all directions. However, the bottom does not have a boss, only the left and right will have the bosses. And now the last tip that will probably maximize your DPS the most, and that is, nor you, neither the one will die in the first 6 waves, right? You will not be taking damage that would kill you in the first 6 waves, even if you really try to get yourself killed. Only the wave 7 is where you do have potential to die. As you can see, we are quite low HP in these situations. And that's the reason, because the little bugs have these little spin attacks where they shoot multiple bubbles, and those can do like 1.5k damage to you, as well as the constant areas of like their toxic material, which will do a lot of damage, right? So I turned the video back a bit just to showcase what I mean, and especially for bosses like these axe hoppers, I believe they're called. Yeah, axe hoppers. As you can see, they're not doing damage, right? And their attacks do not do knockback to you, at least these little like cone shape attacks. So instead of always trying to dodge these attacks and minimize the damage you get, just take the hit, right? As long as the attack does not do knockback to you, take the hit and continue hitting the boss in such a way where you are able to chain multiple hits, right? Don't bother dodging the attacks unless you are like at 1k HP or something like that, which you won't be until you are pretty much at wave 7, right? Trust me, you don't take that much damage and you have a lot. Like, look at this, I'm just full on taking hit from pretty much every single enemy there, and I'm still at half HP, able to quite easily heal up from all of the attacks, right? So take the hits. As long as the hits don't do any knockbacks, any stuns, such as like the guard attacks here, you will be able to just DPS through them and try to position yourself in order to hit multiple enemies instead. This will save you a lot of time when dealing with a lot of these enemies, right? Like you can see exceptions here where the attacks do have various like knockback abilities or stun abilities, but overall, if the ability only does damage, try to take it, try to position yourself in a way where you are able to hit multiple enemies, right? I mean, dodge if it's necessary, but like situations like these, like I can easily take the hit, only dodge the ones that do a knockback to you, right? And yeah, that's pretty much the little guide and tips and tricks in order to get this event completed, right? I haven't pushed for a leaderboard run or anything like that. I just got the regular high score for me and I'm done with it, right? I don't really usually push leaderboards for event stuff, right? I think I got it in like the second or third try on the hard mode, so trust me, the mode is definitely much easier after the hell that was last week's slugfest event. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed. I hope these tips help you out in order to succeed in getting all of the event rewards, right? And yeah, I hope they bring out more rewards like this. I have a special video about testing the shot bow and actually looking at the damage numbers and the DPS numbers compared to other weapons. So subscribe if you want to stay tuned for that. I will probably release it somewhere tomorrow. And yeah, that's about it, and peace.